Hello and welcome to all, a hysterical fan who burst onto the field in the middle of a game, an NBA giant who has a habit of trashing their sports equipment, or swimmers who are a little bit special on the edges. Here are 10 sports events that you will remember for a very long time. Let's go! Let's get started. In Brazil, soccer is a real religion, where even the status of a simple club supporter is not improvised. The most zealous fans in the world have indeed made an appointment in the land of samba, and for them, all means are good to support their favorite club. But it must be said that sometimes it can literally turn to obsession, as you will be able to see on this sequence for the least ubiquitous. The scene, filmed during a match between Flamengo and Ceará SC, shows us the moment when a young hysterical fan invades the field. The unconscious young man stands and runs at full speed on the grass, galloping at high speed, like a hare being chased by greyhounds. This excited fan is going to give a lot of trouble to his pursuers, who really can't keep up with his pace. A member of the staff will even try an ingenious tackle in the air, but he misses because the intruder is much too fast for him. The latter will end up stopping in front of his idol, who is none other than the Uruguayan Georgian de Arrascaeta, the offensive midfielder of Flamengo. The reckless fan will then kneel in front of the player and embrace him lovingly. The Uruguayan, terribly embarrassed by this profusion of love and passion, does not even know where to put himself. Fortunately, the security guards are already there, and the lover is expelled manu military from the field, to the great relief of the Flamengo striker, who would have done well without the smothering embrace. For some of us, sport is just a soccer match on TV, with a ton of popcorn and liters of sodas to relieve the stress. Others, a little less lazy, practice a physical activity at least once a week. Walking, almost exclusively, or a little jogging from time to time. But that's all. Don't talk about gymnastics to these people, and even less about high balancing. You might scare them a lot. This sequence could literally give them a heart attack, or at least the biggest scare of their lives. The scene, which seems unreal, shows us the fabulous contortionist artist Stephanie Millinger in full action. This 30-year-old Austrian is one of the best contortionists in the world, with an extremely flexible body that allows her to perform almost impossible figures. Queen of flexibility and agility, Stephanie is also a daredevil athlete who is certainly not afraid of the ice. Just watch her perform her balancing acts, perched over 2,000 meters above the ground on a small piece of rock, risking her life at the slightest misstep. The young Austrian does not lose her Germanic cool and remains totally concentrated on her movements. So here's a talented and brave athlete, but rather stupid in the end, because risking her life to make an Instagram video is not what you call super smart, is it? We continue with this rather icy sequence that will make you dive head first into the snow, but this time in the true sense of the word. Look at these happy bathers wearing their bathing caps and their diving goggles. You might think they're getting ready to go swimming in a nice backyard pool, right? You are wrong, because these Sunday swimmers are going to take a dip in the snow. After heavy snowfalls the day before, the snow covered the city with a thick coat of ice powder. The abundance of this powdery and very crumbly snow was thus the occasion for these two budding crawlers to make some small refreshing dives. But at minus 20 degrees Celsius, the cold is quickly felt, and our two companions hasten back inside to warm up. Because unless you are a seal or a leopard seal, such a swim is not really recommended. From the top of his 2.16 meters, for a weight of 147 kilograms, Shaquille O'Neal is undoubtedly the undisputed giant of the NBA. The Colossus, who wears size 63, was indeed so strong and powerful that no one dared to shadow him on the court, and even less to stand in his way. The players were in fact subjugated by the gigantic stature of Shaq, which disconcerted them at the highest point throughout the match. And we can easily understand them when we see this giant at work on court, especially when he goes after the opposite basket. On this sequence, you can indeed see how Shaquille O'Neal operates his powerful slam dunks. So powerful indeed that they literally destroy the basket. The Big Shaq had in fact demolished so many baskets that the NBA had even released a special rule, which sanctioned the responsible player. This rule is still enforced today, although it is not so much applied anymore. Indeed, the manufacturers of sports equipment have considerably strengthened their basketball baskets, which are no longer likely to bend before the Herculean strength of Shaquille. Bill Goldberg was one of the greatest wrestlers of the World Wrestler Entertainment, holding an impressive record of victories and individual records in this sport. Today, this mountain of muscle is more interested in Hollywood movies, which offer him a few big roles from time to time. At almost 56 years old, Goldberg decided that it was time to get out of the ring and see if the grass was greener elsewhere. Like on this golf green, for example, where he decided to show off in front of his fans who came to watch him play. But it must be said that some of them are rather annoying on the edges, like this man in a yellow shirt who tries to attract the attention of the wrestler at all costs. This last one will end up irritating Goldberg, who then grabs him like a bouncer in a nightclub, to then throw him violently in the waters of the artificial lake. The wrestler wasn't really in his mood either, as he had missed most of his shots on the green. Goldberg was so upset that he broke his club in two before ending up signing it and offering it to a young fan. There are some legendary goals that will be remembered forever and will be talked about with the same enthusiasm 100 years from now. Tom King's goal is certainly one of them, especially if you take into consideration that the scorer is none other than the goalkeeper. It is indeed the young and talented goalkeeper of Newport County, a team of the 4th English Division, who scored this more than memorable goal against Cheltenham Town Football Club. In the 12th minute of the game, Tom King decided to take a long throw in from the 5.50-meter line. His intention was obviously to create an opening for his attacking teammates, or at least to project the ball as far away from his goal as possible, in order to stay calm and relaxed. But it must be said that the young keeper of Newport does not go there with dead hand, or rather with dead foot, because as you can see, the power of the shot propelled the ball at a crazy speed, making it travel the 96.01 meters of the field in the blink of an eye. The ball will then end up in the back of the net of the opponent's goalkeeper, who really didn't expect such a turn of events. This goal of anthology, which made Tom enter the Guinness Book of Records, will thus remain forever engraved in the annals of soccer and will become very certainly a case of school for the future generations. If you're a fan of swimming and sports swimming, chances are you're a fan of the so-called Baltimore Belle, the American swimmer Michael Phelps. The latter is without a doubt the best swimmer in the world, and you only have to look at his incredible track record to be sure. Michael Phelps is indeed the most titled and medaled sportsman of all the history of the Olympic Games. With 28 medals, 23 of which are gold, this outstanding swimmer also holds several world records, including the 400-meter medley and the 4x100-meter freestyle, which he still holds to this day. So, Phelps is a real fish in the water, and judging by his imposing physical stature and amazing results, you could even say he's an Olympic pool shark. In this fast-moving footage, we can see the excellence of his swimming technique, as well as his amazing physical abilities, because when you watch the scene in slow motion, you can see that Phelps literally swims like a fish, exactly as if the water had been his natural element. And when you study the characteristics of his body indeed, you quickly realize that he is made for swimming. Phelps has very long arms with a span of more than 2 meters, as well as large feet size 47, which act as real human flippers. The young American swimmer can literally whip through the water like a great white shark would with his powerful tail fin, which allows him to move very quickly underwater. Now we have a funny sequence, which proves that Russians' fans are more talented than their own players. During a match between Spartak Moscow and Saturn, a penalty had been whistled by the referee and was just waiting to be played. But just as the referee was concentrating on his shot, a big fan came out of nowhere, followed closely by one of his friends who was just as intrepid as he was. The latter then hit the penalty kick instead of the player, thus scoring a goal worthy of the name. The two merry men, who probably had to drink a little bit of vodka, ran on the field to celebrate this wonderful goal. The players of Spartak Moscow should learn from them, because the shooter almost missed his shot. What if we told you that Spider-Man exists in real life and that you could probably cross his path one of these days? But we have to tell you that his name is not Peter Parker, that he is not a citizen of New York, and that he does not work in the Daily Bugle as a photographer. No, because the Spider-Man you are about to see in this sequence is Jesse Jabber, and he is a resident of San Diego, California. Jesse is a professional skydiver, and his Instagram page shows his love for this extreme and dangerous sport. But Jesse's favorite thing to do above all else is indoor skydiving, with gigantic freefall simulators. These huge vertical wind tunnels indeed send a wind so powerful that it allows you to levitate in the air like Icarus, but without risk of burning your wings. As you can see, Jesse is able to perform the most emblematic tricks of the Spider-Man, so much so that he only needs the red and blue costume to complete the illusion. And as always on your favorite YouTube channel, we have saved the best for last, with this sequence that's certainly no shortage. Here is Caitlin Ohashi, an American gymnast who will surely not leave you indifferent, whether you like gymnastics or not. Look at this sublime athlete with perfect curves, and with what grace she performs her prodigious acrobat figures. Caitlin was well on her way to becoming a great Olympic champion, on par with Simone Biles, and even more so. Unfortunately, this talented athlete with splendid forms was going to undergo a serious accident, of course, which prevented it has ever to be able to carry out its sporting destiny. And that's it for today. What do you think of these 10 extraordinary sporting events? Which of them impressed you the most? Tell us in the comments. And if you liked this video, don't forget to put a like and subscribe and activate the notifications. See you soon for new discoveries out of the ordinary.